like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Do it. What do you say? What do you know? College football week 2 is over. We got all the updates, game scores, everything you need to know. But first, make sure you tune in and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. It's the Bubcast, BUBCAST. We appreciate that. We have an Instagram at the Bubcast Official, and we're on TikTok, Bubcast Official. Week 2 was insane. I think it was the first week of real upsets. Obviously, we only have had 2 weeks, but already some big moves. Notre Dame lost. Notre Dame was at home 2 years ago at home, and they lost to Marshall. Wasn't a good look for Notre Dame. Do I believe it's jump off the ship and close it out for Notre Dame? No. But do I think they need to make some huge improvements down the line and I'd probably run the table? Yes. To only score 14 points against NIU, nothing to taking from them. It was a great win for that great school and university and football team, so shout out to them. I don't know. I think, well, first off, Notre Dame's offense struggled. Leonard had 2 interceptions. That's probably what changed the game. Notre Dame's defense couldn't contain an NIU team's offense. Point blank, Notre Dame should have lost this game. No reason at all. And defense to give up that many yards on the last drive for them to allow that kick is huge. Notre Dame can still get in the playoffs. They got a lot to do. Schedule does help them. They have they're at USC, which would be a good win. Louisville's a good team at home, so they're playing Louisville in South Bend, and they're playing FSU. So if FSU and Louisville can be a top 12, top 10 team, which by the time they play them, that could fall into place. That might help them. But that's it. Really one loss for them. If they get a second loss, I don't see them looking any better. But yeah, shout out NIU, but Notre Dame, you cannot allow that to happen. That's tough. That could be a season ender, but I don't think it's gonna. I think they've got the right coach, and then he straightens out the ship. Next big game was Texas looked dominant in Ann Arbor. Going into that game, didn't think it was going to be that much of a complete onslaught of game. I think Michigan's offense was plain vanilla, didn't do much, and I think Texas defense had a big factor in that. I think Quinn Ewers went off and tore that Michigan's defense apart. The secondary threw for, I want to say, close to 325 yards. I don't have the exact stat, but I think he did really well. Threw the ball all day. Run game was there. Texas is for real. How for real, the question is, do I think Michigan was a top 10 team with that ranking? I mean, I respect it because they were the champions last year, so I get the whole 10, but on paper, I put them like a 12, 15 just based on what I saw. But Georgia, Texas is gonna have some games to prove, to make sure this wasn't just some luck of the draw win in Ann Arbor, because Ann Arbor does have a good team, Michigan does have a good team, so. But I like Texas. I think Texas is where they need to be, but let's see what they do. I mean, they got first year in the SEC, they got big games coming up, so really like that. Duke survived an overtime throw against Northwestern. That was a great game. Duke survived. BYU beat SMU, and SMU was a lot of people's 12th team in their playoff bracket. They would have been the non-Power 5 conference winner. I have Boise State. I've had Boise State since preseason, but it's a big loss for SMU. They were in a lot of people's thing. I think the less prominent you are as a football program, the more losses, the more effects you getting in. It's going to hurt SMU's chances. Tennessee blew out NC State. I think Tennessee could surprise some teams in the SEC. I think they did really well. I know NC State was like a top 24. It was a Duke Mayo class, so it was a neutral site. But Tennessee looked good. Their offense looked good. That quarterback went off. His name's evading me, but they looked really good. And it wouldn't surprise me if they came out of some games in the SEC they weren't supposed to win that they end up winning. Iowa lost in a banger against Iowa State. I was pulling for Iowa, and Iowa just pretty much handed it to Iowa State. Couldn't just get one more possession to get in the red zone, get some points, and they just let Iowa State hang around, and Iowa State got in. Kansas lost to Illinois. I'll talk about that in a minute, but that was a great game. And Georgia Tech lost to Syracuse. Again, I'll go into that later because those are really good games as well. So we'll jump into the Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech lost to Syracuse. Now, for those who don't know, Kyle McCord, who was at Ohio State, who did pretty well for us, didn't get us in the opinion where we wanted, and we had guys coming in, so he left to Syracuse. Week 1 at Syracuse, he had, I believe, just under 400 yards, but he had 4 touchdowns. And then Week 2 against Georgia Tech, he had 400 yards again, roughly, and 4 touchdowns. Now, I understand it's the ACC and Syracuse has, done this, but McCord is not a bad quarterback. I think McCord is a good fit for Syracuse. I think he's going to do really well at Syracuse. I would watch out for Syracuse. Syracuse is kind of like a surprise in the ACC. Teams coming to Syracuse or Syracuse goes to them. They've got a good squad. McCord can put up numbers, so watch out for them. I really, really, really like Syracuse now. I think Syracuse, now that Georgia Tech beat Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech was my sleeper at the point, I really like Syracuse. Kansas State survives a battle in the rain against Tulane. That game was back and forth. Tulane was giving them a run. Kansas State, I think, can surprise people in the Big 12. They've got Avery Johnson, 2 touchdowns, and did just enough, managed the turnovers, kept the ball, looked really well. They have a big game. Kansas State has a big game Week 3, starting off. They play Arizona at home. Right now they're 20. They can be a top 18, top 17 team. So look out for Kansas State. Arizona's gonna be a great matchup on Friday. Like I said, Iowa State shocked them with a last-second field goal. I just think Iowa handed them the ball on that one. Illinois beat Kansas. That is a great win for the Fighting Illini. Love it. Love that Big Ten energy. Kansas was a 17 or 18. Good win for Illinois. I think Illinois, more than just winning the games they're supposed to and losing the games they're supposed to, I think they might get a game in and 2 in the Big Ten, hang with Michigan State, hang with Maryland, fight for a 6-7 win season, get a bowl game, which would be huge for that program. Illinois' defense had a pick 6, which really helped. That pick 6 energy. You had a couple teams. Oregon won their game because they had a punt return and a kick return. So these special teams in Week 2 are coming through for teams and giving them victories that, they may or may not have had without those touchdowns. Oregon survives against Boise State. Now, before everyone goes crazy, I took Boise State at the spread. I also took USF at the spread, and both those teams hit. Those were both 20-plus underdogs, and they both hit. And if you parlay Marshall into that, they're also like a 15. So those 3 hit. Just letting you know, just with the score. Boise State has got an offense that can put up points. Now, their defense is going to give up points, but the thing about like against Oregon is their special teams gave up 14 points. Now mind you, all the games are the same. You got to do what you got to do. But I really, really, really liked Boise State. Boise State has got a killer running back and just absolute animal. Ashton Genie was a workhorse, 192 yards, almost 8 yards a carry, and a touchdown. They feed off him in the offense. Boise State is going to look good. I have Boise State in the playoff as a 12. I think they're going to win the Mountain West, and they're going to get that bid. I really, 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 really like it. Defense did enough. I really tune into Boise State. Just you heard it here first. BYU had a great game against SMU. Like I said, SMU ended up losing. Pitt and Cincy had a nice rivalry game, a nice FBS game, or a nice unranked game, battle back and forth, a 31-28 game where Pitt kicked a game-winning field goal. How about Cal coming into Auburn? Auburn, what in the world are you doing at quarterback? Get him out. Goodness gracious, you just allow him to throw pick after pick after pick. He's throwing to the wrong team. And you let Cal come in, a road trip in War Eagle, in that type of environment, you let him spank y'all? Come on now. South Carolina dominated UK. So Kentucky, I was pulling for y'all for a 6-7 win bowl game season, but you guys might get run out of every game you guys play because your defense is abysmal and your offense is abysmal. Kroger Field is also abysmal. So sorry UK fans, but you guys might get walloped. Virginia beating Wake Forest. Virginia could be a surprise in the ACC as well. Let me get them a bowl game. Let me get a 7-win, 6-win game. Virginia. Let me throw a couple upsets. Give Virginia Tech a run for their money. I like it. I like it. I like it. Last but not least of the games, Nebraska dominated Colorado. The thing about Colorado is last year they didn't have an offensive line. This year they don't have an offensive line. Last year they didn't have a defensive line. This year they don't have a defensive line. They can't protect Shedeur. Shedeur gets running for his life. Their defense is full of holes, and Nebraska just big mouth football, punched him in the mouth, punched him in the mouth, punched him in the mouth, and Colorado couldn't respond. Great win for Matt Rule. I think Nebraska is on the right pace. I think they're in the right trajectory in the Big Ten, the new Big Ten. They're going to have some games that are it'll be a lot tougher than against Colorado, so we'll see how they fare. I like Nebraska. I think Nebraska's going in the right direction. I think Nebraska could easily be a 6-7 win team, be a surprise, be in the next step, and you get that Matt Rule situation. What can you do in year 3 and so forth, and go on from there? And what kind of energy and stuff and recruitment can Nebraska get? That's win helps. I think getting guys like that really helps for Nebraska. So great win overall. Cuzzo for Nebraska did pretty well. That's what Patrick Mahomes calls him because he looks just like him. Like I said, Matt Rule's the guy. I'm excited to see what they can do. But Nebraska looked good on both sides of the ball, and that was a great game. So that is a week 2 preview. It was a great week. Please leave in comments what you think you liked, what you thought I was crazy for saying. But that is week 2 college football. Tune in for our episode on Friday where I preview week 3. And then tune in tomorrow night when I discuss NFL week 1, which is craziness. NFL week 1 is madness. So looking forward to that. And thanks for tuning in. NFL time tomorrow, college football on Friday, and we'll just keep plugging along.